Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 30 of Shoot the Breeze, a chill interview and a chill time all around for you and me. I am your host, HeavyDivider, and alongside me is, well, a larger-than-life kind of figure on hand. As a matter of fact, this man right here has basically pretty much shown that no matter who you are, so you can always be the warrior that you can always want to be, as well as just basically be very determined, very bold, as well as like very brave to conquer whatever dream you want to go for, or be able to go and strive hard for it, no matter the training and no matter the destination. My guest for tonight is Gormundr, or as we call him, Gormundr for short. What's going on, buddy?
Well, it is an honor to be here. This is my very first interview, and I'm only hoping that it is one of the best. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what you got to throw at me.
Not a problem. Well, I can assure you on hand when it comes down to it, I always like people for them to be themselves and just feel like as comfortable as possible. Don't worry, there's no pressure behind anything I ask. So.
Alright.
So, let me ask you one question on hand on how the hell did we meet?
You know, hundreds of my friends, people I meet, ask me that often. And I gotta tell you, with the amount of people I get into fights with or just encounter on a more peaceful occasion, I can't really pinpoint exactly. Do you have a better memory?
Yes, I do, and I also got a funny story to it. You see, basically, I went to go see Small Dommy, who's now called Minnie on hand, Minnie on hand. And basically, everybody was drinking in that place or so, and I decided to join a little bit tipsy-wise. And you and Minnie was talking about RP stuff because they were interested about like getting RPs because you were with the Leonhards at that time. And I remember the hilarious thing to me was the fact that basically when I was drinking, I got a little bit tipsy, and for some reason, you and I had an interesting conversation about human psychology while I was tipsy.
Oh, goodness. Well, that was definitely a very significant factor in my timeline on VRChat, because on that night, I believe you and I discussed some very interesting factors that could come into play with my character that I've actually adopted.
Yeah, you
allowed myself to have more flaws because of it.
Yeah, you and I were talking about, you were talking about your character on it and how, how Gormundr, the character, works and everything, and I was just kind of curious about the human psychology of it. Now, I can't remember the full details of it. The only thing that I found interesting was the fact that, understand, I don't have a degree in human psychology, nor do I study human psychology, yet for some reason I was able to dissect and understand a lot better on where your character's coming from and ask, interesting questions about it here and there. And oddly enough, the next time we met, and this is when we became friends on VRC, was during one of the Leonhard raids that was happening. I was playing as an NPC, and you were playing as, I think, one of the villains on hand. I can't remember his name.
Nero Angelo.
Main
antagonist.
Yep,
yes.
Nero Angelo, and it was like in this desert plain. It was like kind of like this on a beachfront, basically going forth. There's like a small town and everything, and then it led up to a hill where there was a hole in the ground where titanium was.
Oh, that was a very big scene. I remember that.
And I was just playing like a minor villain for that most part. Just not a minor villain, but basically a minor NPC enemy, so to speak. So, during that whole thing.
Well, I feel like no part is truly too minor, especially in a scene like that. Everybody pitching in is what makes that scene exciting and memorable.
Oh yes, definitely. And pretty much from here on out, that's how I became friends with you. I guess the following time after that is when you were showing me your different worlds you had on hand, or so. One of them was like a winter fortress on hand, where basically it was like a dojo of yours.
Oh yes, the Fortress of the Fist. I remember that.
So.
It's been a while since I've actually used it.
And yeah, I remember just looking around and just basically learning the interesting information you had on hand on what that was about, as well as it played an interesting, crucial part for something else you had for that at that time, for what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend. Pappy was also let you know. Pappy was talking about the first time they ever met you was in a CR map, and trying to wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, goodness. Well, I hope they managed to wish me a happy birthday and that I wasn't too busy.
I'm pretty sure everybody was just coming around just wishing happy birthday and everything, but knowing Pappy, I'm pretty sure she was definitely be able to wishing you a happy birthday and everything on hand. So, let me...
I would have hated to ignore a birthday wish, as they're very special.
So, I had an interesting question on hand. This is basically, we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. This was for your VRChat origins. What got you into VRChat, by the way? Or what kind of, get your interest on hand that led you all the way over to this game?
Well, at the point, remember, I was going through a bit of a drought. When I commit to a game, it's usually for months at a time, because I have something to keep me coming back to it. And I saw this game, right? And it promised where you could upload any avatar, upload any world, go see other people's worlds and avatars. And I was like, this sounds a little too good to be true. I'll try it out, though. I came in, nobody was talking to each other. Everybody had the default avatars. Nobody even had VR. That's why I was like, well, VRChat. Nobody's even got VR. Everyone's in desktop. I wrote it off at that point and didn't touch it until several months later when I had started seeing videos about it on, YouTube and everything. And then I was like, oh, wow, they actually add stuff to this game? So I gave it a second chance and I've stuck to it ever since.
Oh, there you go. There you go on hand.
So in summary, the prospect of being anyone and doing anything is pretty exciting to me.
Yeah. And not only that, or so it also, in a weird way or so, it also helps out people in real life as well, just be able to try to talk to people or be able to get to know them or so.
VRChat is good for so many things, I feel like, if used properly.
If used properly. Used properly on hand for what they gotta do. My other question I have on hand is hobbies on hand besides this game in general. Now, I'll be honest when I say I don't know too much about your hobbies on hand, except for maybe one that being you seem to like training a lot. Because I do remember distinctly you try to climb a Rocky Dog's Carnival Mountain or something with basically weights around your wrist. Like push yourself in like some excruciating pains just to do stuff.
I am a fan of physical fitness, and I do love pushing the envelope for possibilities. What an average man such as myself, who in real life is not 7 feet tall, 600 pounds, I like pushing myself to see what I am capable of, which most people my height or weight class or anything like that, I just look like the most average dude in real life, so I like getting stronger and pushing myself, but nobody likes training. I just want to say that right now. Training is the most difficult part of a hobby. But to be more specific, I do enjoy weightlifting, weight training like that. Not necessarily bodybuilding, because that's too tedious, in my opinion.
I get you.
Strongman training, though, being able to lift heavy objects, I find that impressive, though. Otherwise, you already know, everyone who knows me knows I enjoy fighting, boxing, combat sports, all of those. Even if I'm not learning any styles, I just enjoy viewing it because it is just so exciting to me.
No, I got you. And no, I got you. It's like just be able. It's pretty much just the competition on hand is what kind of drives you in the sense of like being able to like push yourself to past certain peaks on hand just to show you can basically, as long as you keep your mind to it, you can do anything and dedication to it. So.
Well, on Halloween when I did that, I really just wanted to be the first person to say that they did something so insane, because I knew that it would only be a matter of time before somebody tried something that crazy. And anyone can do it, but I just had to be the first, And it worked out. I've got a big old statue there, and I forever left my mark on a world that I really love. That meant a lot to me. But hobby-wise, I wouldn't do that ever again.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't find myself doing that regularly.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't want anybody in the world to be able to do that, just because of the fact that right there, sure, work your arms, but you won't be able to feel your arms for about a good week or so, or just be able to make it harder to be able to lift them. So,
if I'm being honest, I was actually doing great the next day. I was surprised even too that I could even lift my arms after 12 hours of climbing.
No repercussions. Oh, interesting. No repercussions or anything from it? Like your arms weren't stiff, or basically it was hard to kind of like turn them or everything, lift them?
Oh, it was sore definitely, but not excruciating. Not like not something I couldn't handle. It was just, I was surprised how bad they didn't hurt.
I was gonna say that's a hell of a miracle on hand, because I know the repercussions after like doing so much on hand could literally be a sore arm or like some sort of bruising on hand that can happen. But you're lucky on that.
Telling me.
You're lucky on that one. Let me ask your opinion about the VRChat scene right now, currently of what's going on or so. Any certain thoughts that come to your mind when it comes to how everything's going as of right now?
Uh-oh. Oh, you didn't want to ask me that. Anyone who knows me also well enough knows that I have quite an opinion on the current state of affairs. Without getting too heavily into it, because this would probably take up the majority of this interview, I'm not a fan of people being excruciatingly open with their sexuality. I'm just not a fan of it. People are humans, you know, us creatures. We naturally have these urges inside of us, and we have these emotions, but I just don't see it necessary to tell the whole world about it, let alone base your entire career off of it. And what I feel like is going on in VRChat is the perpetual machine of, you know, sex cells. I would hate for this to become a Second Life VR. I'm a big advocate against keeping it in private worlds. No, for keeping it in private worlds. I'm against it, like,
being out in the open.
I'm against it, like, overtaking our game, because look up VRChat anywhere. Just anyone at home, look up VRChat on YouTube. The first, like, 10 results, you're probably going to see somebody making a nasty-ass face with their tongue out and shit like that, or like a clickbait title. I don't want that to be what this game is known for, because there's just so much to do here. There's so much we could be doing, and if that's the kind of PR our game is getting, I feel like we're going to attract a negative audience who doesn't want to give back to the game and make beautiful worlds like this, or avatars, or contribute, but rather take away from it for their own hedonistic desires.
No, I got you.
I'll leave it at that, though.
No, I got you. It's also too you hate for that to be like a trend or anything, that basically somebody catches on and assumes like this is how the way it is or so, like this is how the new wheel or new gear, basically what VRChat's supposed to be about or so, because basically they base like this on examples and everything, like, well, look at this person, they seem to be doing well just by doing all of this and everything, like they're getting well known just by being that. So
yeah, I also feel like hardworking creators are getting stiffed when it comes to that, because all you need to do is, am I allowed to say ass?
No, you're fine. I mean, I basically brutal honest.
Shaking your virtual ass in a camera and getting hundreds of thousands of views, fucking all these donations. I'm sorry, now I'm really letting loose. I feel like real talented creators and hardworking people have to work twice as hard just to get over that. It's the conceptual equivalent to popcorn. Viewers just they just consume it. It's endless, and it becomes an addiction. And the amount of newcomers and new players I've seen in VRChat who actually come to me when I ask them, why did you join this game? What brought you to VRChat? That same question you asked me, they reply something along the lines of, oh, I just like the boobs and the ass. It's just scary to think that might be what our game is recognized as in the future.
No, I got you.
I'd like to avoid that if all possible, because we'd be wasting a perfectly good platform.
Yeah, no, I got you. And it's one of those things too where you also understand it's like different communities. Like everybody's got their own like pocket of friends here and there. Like you got your community on hand, everybody's got their different community here and there. So at least it's diverse on hand. It's just more of those things where basically you don't want to kind of like spread out to words where basically it consumes or basically overcomes the entirety of the other 50% on hand.
Right.
So it's understandable.
I think diversity is very important, and people should be absolutely allowed to do whatever the hell they want in a private world with 2 consenting adults or more. Fuck it. I mean, it's your life, man, your game, and if you're not hurting anybody, go for it. Nobody should tell you how to play the game, but you should never play VRChat if it is infringing on the fun or the rights or anything of other players. If you're forcing that stuff on me, I'm going to be uncomfortable naturally.
No, I got you.
So that's my straight up opinion.
No.
Feel free to do it. Just don't make us watch.
Yeah, no, I understand. And just as a reminder, everybody's got their own opinion no matter what it is or so. So we just basically learn from why they think this and basically respect it on hand. Everybody's got a different opinion no matter what. So,
of course.
Let me ask you about map making and creations on hand. Now, I know for a fact you're really big into like different kind of map making on hand, especially like some of the ones that even if we haven't like explored a lot together, we're some that basically bring us together for special moments on hand, like the boxing tournaments or everything on hand, or certain ones that basically we get a chance to basically meet these creators and just be able to test them out, see if we spot anything on hand. So I was gonna any big maps on hand that you're usually a fan of, or like any creations from like different other creators that come to your mind?
I'm a big fan actually of, not only Zeshin and his work, I love the stuff he does. First man to bring boxing to VRChat. You gotta give him props for that. I mean, and it's decent too. I can't actually say that. There was a boxing map before that, and it was fun for its time, but I remember dying a lot there. I'll start with Black Lilith. Black Lilith was a pioneer of combat worlds in VRChat. I remember a time where anything other than steel and gold, gold captured.
I remember that.
Anything other than that, you couldn't find a world that had a PvP system, but Black Lilith nailed that and pioneered, I'd say, the whole genre. Of course, that was always an option that people could do, but you got to respect the first to come. Black Lilith, definitely got to give props to them. They're a good friend of mine and very talented. Zeshin, I love his boxing world, his Dragon Ball Z world, super underappreciated, very talented dude. But somebody I'm kind of a fan of, not so close friend-wise, but I'm kind of a fan of, Byronist. Creator of the Smash Contest world.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think I've been to the world. I didn't know. I think I've been to the world a few times. It just never clicked on hand on basis some of the other stuff they made. Because it's like you see a world here and it's like a certain theme that people have, and then be like, huh, this looks like this person's world, and then you look it up, it's like, oh, sure enough, it is.
Yeah, I love the Smash Contest world. In fact, I've left my mark on it permanently. If anyone goes there, you're gonna find that image of the broken-ass controller. That's me. Me. I did that. I'm still getting harassed online about that. Like, hey, aren't you that guy? But other than that, it's a super fun world, but they make a lot of like really interesting stuff, and it feels like a tech showcase sometimes, or a mini game, and it doesn't force it down your throat. It's not like you have to do this certain objective. It's literally a sandbox, like go hit a bag and see how far you can hit it. If you can do tricky things with it, you're better off, And on top of all that, the guy makes and sells these udon gadgets that you can put in your own world, like a karate, like a clay breaking one, or a game of Simon. Just simple stuff like that out in the marketplace. That intrigues me the most, because I feel like having these little gadgets out there is going to innovate the way we like feel at home in VRChat. Like it's like going to the store and buying furniture, or buying a new game console and bringing it home, except it's all virtual and you're putting it in your world. So big props to him for that. Super talented guy. But I've just got too many favorite world creators, honestly, because I know so many amazing people, so many hardworking guys, and I don't want to go on too long.
I got you.
If you're asking me how enthusiastic I am about world making, all I know is the bare essentials. I'll be honest. The worlds you've seen from me, I've kind of Frankensteined them together. They're all just Unity store assets. I am not that into creating just yet, but maybe down the line.
Maybe one day down the line or so. But even if
sure.
And I will say, even like I understand too, I'm a big fan of different worlds here and there. Most of the times I'm like big a fan of like the aesthetic on hand to be able to look at something. Like, for example, like the one we're in right now, the Celiana, Monster Hunter, basically just the horizon right behind us. Like, that aesthetic of being able to look and everything, and just, like, take everything in. It may be a small detail on hand, but just be able to kind of, like, feel like you're looking at a sunrise or sunset is always a very big feat on my end or so. Just to be able to feel that overall. So...
And you can tell they put a lot of love in this world. They didn't just pull it out of the game and put it in like I've seen from some maps. They put a lot of love into making sure that this looked visually stunning and kept to the environment. I can definitely tell.
Also, someone has a question for you on hand. One Andrew K, who basically said, what do you think about the Shrek movies for some reason? I don't know if there's somebody you know on here. Or...
Yes, Andrew, coming to harass me again. No, I'm kidding. Andrew is a very, very funny friend of mine. He's quite the comedian. Shrek movies. I got a hot take here. I don't hate the third movie.
That's fine.
There you go. All of them are also universally loved.
A
lot of people really hate the third one, though. I don't hate it.
I mean,
that's my stance.
I mean, everybody's got their own unique taste on it. Sometimes things may strike a chord. Sometimes you may not have a strong feeling behind it, or so. Personally, for me, I don't really have a strong feeling behind any kind of certain movies like that.
He's asking the question just to be dumb.
I know.
And
okay.
He got a dumb answer.
Well, there you go. There you go. There you go. I took it as like for some reason I took it like as a debate on hand. It's like, well, let me tell you something. But no, you're all good. So let me ask you this. Let me ask about your old VRC memories on hand. What comes to your mind, like something that sticks out to you, like when it comes to this game? Say like a moment that sticks with you forever. It could be like a funny moment. It could be like a certain memorable moment for you personally.
One moment I could think of is, it's just, I'm sure this happened. I might be misremembering it, but I remember the feeling I had in my Great Hall world that my friend Garrett painstakingly put together from Skyrim. The Hall of Sovngarde, all the way in, piece by piece, just for me, just to make our group and everything, just to make us all happy. He made that for all of us, and it might have been opening night, it might have been just any other day, but early into my VRChat career, when I had formed Gormundr's Great Hall, my little community, I just remember seeing everyone having a great time, running around, throwing plates, making a mess, and just interacting with one another. And it felt like at that moment that I knew I had found a home. Well, and it meant the world to me. Just being around all these people who made me feel so special.
I understand that feeling too well, especially when it's like some of the people that, you briefly met that later on like become like your best friends on hand. Or basically some of the people, because understand, VRChat is a small world where basically you're always going to, you're probably going to meet the exact same person, if not twice, if not 3 times in a row, like at certain moments in your life in VRC. And other times on hands, like you're going to get a chance to know each other here and there. It's just a matter of like just reaching out and just saying, "Hey, I recognize you. We met before. We haven't talked, but we met."
It's important, yeah, to form those kind of bonds with people. And I have met so many people, like I said, over my course of VRChat that sometimes I feel bad for not remembering certain folks. A part of me would prefer to have enough people in my life to form a familiarity with sometimes rather than just knowing a little bit about everybody. Because I know a bunch of people, but I mean, even you, Heavy, we've been friends for quite a while, but I don't even know your favorite color, you know?
No.
So it's a bit of a sacrifice, you know? Getting to know so many people has its advantages, it has its pluses, but it also means you can't form meaningful connections with everybody because, you know, that's just the social circle rule. Like, the human mind
can only remember so many.
You know, the circles, you've heard of that.
Yeah, you can have no more than maybe like 100 or some odd so friends of like in your life or so.
And that's too small. That's too small of a number. I feel like we should be more advanced than that. But either way, I just hope I leave a positive impact in everybody's lives. Whoever meets me, I am always conscious and aware that I make sure that they leave with a good memory of me. That's so important to me.
No, I got you. I got you on hand. Let me ask you about the VRChat Current Present for right now. When I say current present, I mean like when you look back at when you first started and everything, from like how things have changed from like nameplates, like security, how the servers were optimized in different ways. So compared those to where we are right now or so, what are some of the stuff you wish they have not changed at all to some of the stuff you wish you're glad they changed for the most part?
Well, it's taken me some time to get used to the new name tags, the look of them. When it came out with the trust system, I thought that was interesting. A lot of people were like very mixed feelings about that, but I kind of thought it gave people an incentive to further their place in VRChat. But in reality, it turned into a bunch of people uploading blank worlds with mirrors in them, with the name blatantly stating, "I'm just uploading this for trusted user." So it's had its up and downs, but I definitely found that to be the most interesting. Can we talk about things we're looking forward to as far as the VRChat timeline?
I mean, sure, we could talk about that too, like anything you're looking forward to, because I know for a fact that from what I've seen recently in the beta, they basically updated the servers a little bit to basically push a little bit more frame rate on hand, where you could basically hopefully
that's always good.
Yeah, that's always good, is be able to quell some of the lag or anything they have on hand. I know from that, since I saw that from Little Bagel's side on hand, as well as because I will say there was a point on hand where VRChat updated itself to a point where I actually thought I was getting like 60, like I get like normally 90 frames or so, but when it came to like, say like content creating on my side or everything, I feel like I was getting 60 frames when normally I was working at 30. It was weird. It was weird on hand when you kind of like look at certain stuff, but I will say overall or so, I'm glad they're like updating stuff here, and I'm sure there's been like a lot of rocky roads here but they've done.
I'm kind of glad that we hit one bump on New Year's, because I feel like sometimes a bad thing needs to happen for good to come from it.
Yeah.
So that was one little part in this rocky road you speak of that I don't mind. It really gave them a wake-up call, because they had a whole concert planned and a bunch of people were spending New Year's in VR, and that is the absolute worst time you can mess up. But with it messing up, it revealed a significant flaw in the servers, and it finally got some proactive action from the devs. And some people, from what I heard, were like shocked that this was the first time in a long time that they have had some real, genuine like communication, and they were genuinely sorry and like telling everybody like all the way through step by step how they were fixing it. I feel like that's something we've been missing too, is some real hands-on communication. Then again, to give the devs a benefit of the doubt. With a community this large, you can't always please everyone, and you can't always give up-to-date, like, updates, I guess.
Yeah, like mandatory updates, because sometimes you'd be trying to gather different information on hand before you can present it. So it's like you can't, you know, like, I understand on hand where basically you can't automatically have like instant results on the spot. Like, you know, something goes down, it's like, okay, what happened? It's like immediately a few seconds you know what it is, or so. Sometimes you gotta further investigate on hand. I mean, and then other times, if you look on the other perspective on hand or so, from people who what they see on hand, they would be like, you know, well, you would think they would be more prepared for something like it's like with New Year's. You think they'd be more prepared with like this amount of people on hand basically being indoors for this, since we're going for like a whole whole pandemic on hand. Since we can't really, you know, fire fireworks and all that, you know, we can basically be inside and just basically relax until like the next New Year's or so. I mean, different perspectives on hand, but you understand from both sides on what you think here and there or so. It's just a matter of like bridging it together. So.
Right. I'm just glad though that it sparked a chain in communication, and we're hearing more about what's going on behind the scenes from that, but previously nobody would have known that the servers wouldn't have been able to handle it, because to be quite honest, we haven't necessarily heard a lot from the devs in a while. We don't know much about what goes on behind the scenes, and we're just left to play the game and produce our own content for it.
Definitely on hand. And Pappy pretty much said, basically, I was surprised that when I met Gormundr, I said on Twitter, I wish him a happy birthday, and he remembered I do that. So, but yeah, I mean, again, you know people on hand that you get a chance to meet on hand, you know, circle friends for the most part. Basically, everybody get a chance on hand. Sometimes it's the smallest things you remember, sometimes it may be the biggest things you remember, depending on how big the impact is. And usually the small wonders is what outconquers, like, some of the biggest moments you have with people. Especially what you can remember. So, I asked on hand about anything looking forward towards, or anything on hand. At least I think we talked about that on hand. Unless
I didn't necessarily say. I'm looking forward to the new menu UI changes, where I believe you can customize your menus in the UI layout, and coming with that, groups. You remember a long time ago how they said they were trying to hire UI artists?
Yes.
I have been waiting with my breath held for these new features to come, and the VRC icons and everything, I feel like that's just the start of it. I'm getting real vibes of what's to come, and I know it might be out soon should everything be going alright, because I don't know, I am just super excited for groups now, and communities, clubs, whatever they'll call it.
I will say they do have a feature on the social tab being groups, but I don't think a lot of people use it too much, just because of the idea that, you know, people are going to assume that basically you create it just for separation on hand, when, you know, you have it just so you can at least find people, because you might have like 150 people in your friends list.
Favorites.
No, favorites.
I mean, like, they're going to come out with the MMO equivalent of guilds for VRChat.
Okay.
Or so we've been led to believe. Yeah, it's a big update post that they did like so many months ago, and a lot of people actually forgot about it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, new menu designs that you can customize, you know, like all this custom stuff. Everything's going to be so personalized, and maybe, I don't know how these clubs will work necessarily, but if they're like public and everything, and you'll be able to see who's in them aside from a friend list, that'll be so helpful in my opinion too, because I do associate with certain people who I don't know well enough to call friends yet, but having them in the same organization, in the same club, group, whatever, like VRChat's gonna call it, as I said, that'll be so super helpful for keeping track of who's who and like who's in my group, you know.
No, I got you on hand for that. I will say it's almost like we're getting like one step closer to, like, say, .hack sign, or basically like Sword Art Online, where basically we're gonna have like all these kind of different features on hand, where basically it's just gonna get to that point where we're gonna just like summon something out of thin air. I guarantee you it can happen.
I can't wait. If VRChat added an inventory system, I mean, it would act like favorite avatars, I guess, and you could potentially, if you can upload an avatar into game, what's stopping you from uploading an item? You know, that somebody can just pull out. I mean, Rec Room did it.
Yeah, definitely.
Who knows?
Who knows on hand. Speaking of what I mentioned about Dot Hack and Sword Art Online, let's talk a little bit about anime. Usually this is a curveball because sometimes people may not watch anime too much. Sometimes people do watch a lot of anime. It's just a matter of like who knows what on hand. But I'll ask you on hand. When I say anime on hand, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, anime-wise?
So many people already know this. So I'm sorry if this comes as no surprise, but Baki. Baki the Grappler. Yeah.
Baki the Grappler.
I am a huge fan of martial arts animes, more down-to-earth kind of combat, just plain and simple. It doesn't even need a story or anything like that. Just watching beautifully crafted fight scenes, as I said, either in anime, like Kengan Ashura, another good one, Hajime no Ippo, one of your more well-known ones. I enjoy animes like that have to do with combat, but throughout the recent COVID, I've been actually trying to branch out and make myself more accustomed to the true classics like Cowboy Bebop, Akira, Attack on Titan, things that are like universally renowned as like just super popular. I've been kind of just wanting to see, are they as good as everyone say they are?
I got you.
So I'm widening my scope at the moment, but my top three have to be, as I said, Baki, Kengan Ashura, and Hajime no Ippo.
I will say on hand, you pretty much answered my second question being, you know, what's your kind of favorite series on hand? So there's that. I have the last question, and that is basically, what is the anime that hit you close to home? Like when you watch anything, you'd be like, you know, I feel that really hard. Like it relates to me really well.
I'm not so certain. As I said, what anime I did watch was these, pretty much, and I never really found myself relating to any, like, for instance, characters from Baki, because they're just so outlandishly strong or, like, insanely talented with their martial arts abilities. But I can say that they inspired me to craft my character around certain literary devices or like tropes that I've caught in that series or from other series that contain powerful characters. I've written everything around my character as, you know, trying to keep it realistic but still fantastic. And I also want to act that same way. So I've taken on in character different acting tropes from how does one who is insanely strong act. They're not boastful, they're more calm, I've always noticed, and everything, and their presence upon entering a room, you know, is just deadly. Like, just knowing they're there is like, holy shit. And I think from relating to Baki and all these characters and everything, I've created a presence of myself that sometimes genuinely gets that reaction from my friends, in character or out of character, like, oh shit, it's Gormundr, oh god. But in reality, I'll just be coming in there to fuck around and say hi, you know?
Yeah.
But I've done a good job from that, so I guess Baki, pretty much, or Baki the Grappler, OVA from the 90s. Those two, I'd like to consider them all the same part, because it's still the same series, but
Yeah, I got you.
vastly spread apart.
I got you. Which, this is going to lead to my last question. I mentioned about that camera right there, but what I could do is I can bring it up a little bit and basically bring it closer to you, because that way you don't have to move out of your chair. And what I was going to ask on hand for it, just to be able to help you out on hand here. Let me do this. Okay, so my question for you is basically this. What are your goals and dreams? And at best, what is the best advice you could ever give to anybody? I'll go ahead and let you have the floor for this.
Okay. Now, are we talking VRChat goals or goals in general?
In goals in general.
Okay.
Realistic to you.
I would like to lead a successful life. I, like any other human who has touched upon the surface of this earth, dreams and only hopes to be remembered, for their legacy to carry on. I'm hoping that eventually one day, without any selfish purpose of gain for fame or fortune or glory or anything like that, my only selfish desire in life, truly, if you could call it that, is just to be remembered. I would like my name to live on after my passing, and I would like those who loved me, who carry on my legacy, to go on, and for my story to be so amazing that generations will hear of me and my actions, my accomplishments. For I believe that anyone on earth, simply their truest desire is to not be forgotten. A philosopher or some wise man, as far as I know, I wish I could remember who said it. I do have memory issues, so bear with me, but I do remember the quote. You, as a human, will die twice. Once when you take your last breath, and once when the very last person who knew about you utters your name for the last time. So, plain and simple, I want to lead a life worth living, and I'd like to be remembered.
No, I understand on hand. And you pretty much, like, in that too, like you said, you know, best advice on hand is basically you want to basically create, like, I want to say you mostly want to be able to create, like, a good presence on hand. Like, be able to create, like, almost like a larger-than-life presence where basically everybody understands who you are, as well as just basically understand that you did a lot of good for everybody around you.
Well, that's more of my goal.
That's your goal. That's your goal.
Me personally, that's what I'm looking forward to, but other people do not mind at all living quiet, simple lives and just going about their life, just doing what makes them happy. There's no problem with that either. A more general bit of advice I could give, however, is understand no matter what you're born with, whether it be, you'd call it a handicap, a burden, a disability, or something that has just set you back in life. Remember that no man on this earth, no human being can ever compel your actions. There are two types of people in this world, and I know people say that a lot, and it's not good or bad. We are an amalgamation of actions, and good or bad is simply for others to decide. You can choose to do good or bad things, but really it is your peers who decide that for you, truly. But know that you have a moral compass deep inside of you that you are fully in control of. Sometimes days may seem where we want to give up and let emotions take in, but those two types of people are people who choose logic and people who choose emotion. Those are truly the two types of people. But human beings are made up of both. It's just up to you to know when is the best time to know when logic is appropriate and when emotion is appropriate. You are always, however, in control of what you do and your actions. And everything you do in life, be prepared for consequences that come with them. Never be surprised, and, well, unless you fuck up real bad, never be ashamed of who you are. I have so many morals, but I tried to fit them all into one cluster.
No, I got you.
Hope that wasn't too confusing.
No, it's fine. It is fine on hand, and I will say, hey, it's always good to have like a moral compass on hand for what you gotta do on hand, here and there. I will say too, for those right now, do you guys have any questions for Gormundr? Any questions you would like to ask him on hand here and there? So, I'm just trying to bring myself a little closer here.
I'm kind of peeking at your chat. I'm doing a little cheating here.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I have one question on hand. Basically, the character of Gormundr and everything else. What kind of inspire you for that entirely?
I know I have Viking blood deep in my veins in real life, Icelandic and Norwegian, where my parents hail from. And I just thought to myself, there aren't enough Vikings out there that have interesting stories. They're one of the less documented, people on Earth, and I wanted to create a story based around that. So something that was close to me was my heritage, and I basically just looked up a name. I looked up Norwegian, Icelandic names until I decided to put Gore from a different name with Munder, like Sigmundur or Gudmundur, and I just thought Gore sounds terrifying, but Munder, it's like I will tear you asunder, something like that.
Yeah, like that.
I just wanted it to sound good, and that's where the name came from. My character is probably just a more aggressive me and much taller and stronger.
No, I got you. Got you on hand. Just checking here and see if anybody's got any questions for the most part.
Kaze something very nice.
Well, they said something very nice to you. Also, Gormundr from the land down under. Good lord.
Gormundr.
That sounds like a movie on hand. It's like you came from another realm and somehow ended up in Australia somehow. And now you got to figure out how to get back home. Oh, here you go.
Gormundr down under.
Good lord. That actually makes it look like you're like a Viking version of Saxton Hale.
Saxton Hale! Oh my god. Do you know I actually tried to convince Session once my new world is done? Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about that because it's kind of a surprise.
Secret.
But I actually wanted to see if Session could code in a punch scale so that I could identify my identity with my computer simply by punching a measuring thing. So how many joules of force? It's like, oh, welcome back, Gormundr.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
So Peppy had a question.
Saxton Hale inspired me.
Good lord. Peppy has a question for you. What is the most modern media that inspired a development with your character?
Most modern. I'd assume the latest form of media. If I'm thinking about my most recent inspiration, it might be a character from Kengan Ashura, because there's a guy there, he's got a beard, and he's a more serious type and everything. I, for the life of me, can't remember their names, because there's so many characters in that series, but he's like this karate master who essentially will make this spear shape with his hand, and his fingers have been broken and reformed so many times that he can literally thrust his hand through like flesh as though it were a lance. He's super deadly. But I like the way he acts because he's super calm, he's collective, but he's a little rude when he encounters somebody with a bit of pride. So he's not like, when it comes to him like talking down to his opponents, he's kind of disrespectful, but he's not so much as like throwing back shade. He's just plain and simple saying, "You will not walk out of this fight. It's best as though you would have never come to this arena in the first place." That kind of attitude I kind of adopted in a few recent fights with overpowered characters.
No, I got you. I got you on hand. And I will say for the most part on hand. Oh, hold on a second. Meme question from Pappy. One more. Meme question. Gormundr and Lolathon sketch show win.
Fucking every time that Joker joins in on me, it's a sketch comedy. He beats me up, I smack him around, he does some goofy shit, I scream at the top of my lungs. It's a crack fest, I tell you. It's like VRChat on drugs. I swear to God.
Yeah, it is. It's literally it's just literally a comedy. Honestly, I'm surprised that it hasn't been like a comedy show or something like it. Not like a Broadway, but basically kind of like its own comedy show on hand where it had like different sketches here and there. for the most part.
If anyone, I'll just say this, if anyone ever needs me to put on a performance anywhere, do some stupid shit, I will throw away a good amount of my dignity for laughs. So please get in contact with me.
Oh god, that'll be interesting on hand. So with that in mind and everything, I'll go ahead and just kind of wrap it up here by saying that will be episode 30 of Shoot the Breeze. Thank you guys so much.